Hardcore mode is easy. It's even easier with Totems of Undying. So I'm just like not gonna use any of those since they're for cowards. No offense if you use them, but you're just a coward, so whatever. Anyways, check this out. It's gonna be so quick, so fun, so fast, and maybe even furious. I don't know. Spawned into the world and immediately was greeted with a challenge. How the F do I turn off motion blur? Second question, why the F does motion blur exist? Does any human enjoy this? Like in any setting? Seriously, why? You can imagine what I did next. Wood, tools, rock, tools, sheep, dead. Wool in my hands. That means I can make a bed for sleeping. Watching the sunset? Kinda dope. Ah, now that's a hole. Hell yeah, brother. I'm gonna jump in that. Meow. Oh boy. Later that day, I did some wandering around at random until I found a village. This is where I'm gonna set up my shop. My shop sells like drugs and also gardening tools. It's mostly gardening tools. Welcome back to this week's Top Play of the Week. I'm your host, Sif Phyllis, and I'm joined at the desk today by Enor Musballs. How you feeling, Enor?
Hey, thanks, Sif. Feeling pretty good. Let's look at this play. As you can see, we got a classic deflect and swing maneuver. Very clean.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And then the unexpected play when the second skeleton appears. Running away and refusing to fight. Beautiful execution. Anyways, that's your play of the week. Sif out. If you watch very carefully here, you can see me place down my first chest of the entire world. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Not many people know how to do that, and the ones that do, well, they probably smell like meow. Wait a minute. Iron golems drop iron. And I make that noise whenever I punch iron golems. This might take a minute now that my axe is broken. So yeah, after I demolished that iron golem with my bare hands, like a man, I spent like an entire day just running around exploring and looking for holes to jump into. Naturally, I didn't find any good holes. I lost the one from earlier. So much like a farmer milking a cow's udders, I took things into my own hands. And I made a staircase. It's a 3x3 winding staircase, or as it's more popularly known in the gaming community, it's a really staircase. I don't know why I did it this way. I regret doing it this way, but it's the way that it is, so we're just gonna deal with it for now. And then later on, I'll make a better solution. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I hate it. Ka-chow. Damn it. Why did I mention making a grilled cheese sandwich? Now the rest of this stream, however many hours that is, I'm going to be thinking about grilled cheese. Not the grilled cheese, but I briefly tried to craft a smithing table using the recipe for an enchanting table, which for some reason did not work. I don't know why. So instead I had to search up the recipe for a smurthing table, and as you can see here, that also didn't work. But on my third attempt, I looked up how to craft a smithing table, and that did actually yield a result. I'm making this table so that one of the villagers in town will become a toolsmith. Anyways, then I got some more iron, made a little axe, as you can see there, and then this fella walked up, check this out, he went, BAM! That's half my health bar gone. Wow, holy crap, with a shovel, no less. I don't have any armor on still, but thankfully I'm really talented, so I just killed him. What's up, gangsters? It's me, your boy. I got my boots on. They might look a lot like little white squares, but don't worry about that. They're boots. Hey, let's talk about villagers, actually. I'm not angry. Continuing the trend of making all the wrong decisions in this hardcore world, I decided to get frisky and change up my usual order of priorities. You know, usually you get full diamond armor, full diamond tools as your first goal in a world, you know. But I wanted to be quirky and cute, so I was like, hey, you know, what if I focused on villagers first? That'd be kind of cool. No, it would not be cool. It would be dumb and stupid. But god damn it, that's what I freaking did. You know, I thought if I got a toolsmith leveled quickly, I could just buy an OP set of enchanted diamond tools for my good friend here. But imagine my shock when I finally did finish grinding him up after forever, and I see that he's just selling me a mother shovel and a diamond pickaxe with efficiency 2 for like 40 billion emeralds or so, approximately. I'm not good at numbers, but you know, I wanted to change it up. I've played a lot of hardcore worlds, and at a certain point, you kind of just do the same things over and over and over again. So I guess that was worth the exploration, but yeah, don't do this. Please, just don't do this. Anyways. Now, yeah, I know you're thinking, that's a lot of hoes. And you're right. Moving on. But, you know, I mean, life's about learning. And often we learn the same lesson over and over again. And that's okay. I mean, sure, I had to cut down an ungodly amount of trees, and I had to keep the villagers as prisoners. I mean, completely voluntary workers. But that's all okay. It's fine. It's part of the journey. I hope this season's going to be a long and fun journey that you'll continue watching with me. If this style of content interests you, I hope you'll subscribe and hit the like button down below. It's very helpful. My goal is to release these episodes weekly, or at least kind of close to weekly. So, yeah, I mean, there's the plug for the episode. Meow. As you saw, I did eventually find some diamonds, actually a pretty good amount of them. So I made myself some tools. Now that I had a diamond pickaxe, I also figured I'd just go ahead and collect some obsidian since, I have to get it anyways later. Plus, I can start working towards getting an enchanting setup going. Hell yeah. After making the long trek back up my 3x3 staircase of doom, I wanted to work on a house. I'm gonna try to have at least a little bit of building in every episode. For the block palette today, I was toying with some deep slate combos, which unsurprisingly paired pretty well. I mean, they're just like all black in different shapes, so I mean, come on. However, one of my main goals with this house was to stay pretty close to that oak wood vibe of the village. I also wanted a front porch, because front porches are cool. You can sit on them and, stuff. Yo, check out this transition though. I'm gonna do a YouTuber thing. Boom! I just made the entire house in 1 second. How cool was that? Holy show. So yeah, this will serve as our primary base of operations for the time being, and of course I had to make like a helicopter and get the cinematic shot. But for real though, I'm not like the best builder, so feel free to leave any feedback in the comments below. However, if you say mean things, I wish all of your future milkshakes are too chunky to slurp through the straw. Additionally, I thought it would be important for me to tell you that I'm a cool edgelord guy, and so I put a painting of a skeleton fellow on the inside. Look at that bad boy. He's pretty cool, right? Yeah? Now, I really want to prepare you for the shot that you're about to see. I wanted to capture just how many trees I had actually cut down, and I was thinking, man, this is going to be such a cool shot. But now I feel like a really silly little fella because I definitely did not capture the right footage. So I did this whole cinematic before and after thing, and it looks like nothing changed at all. So please don't make fun of me. You can make a little fun of me, but not too much fun of me. I'm just a YouTuber, not a film creator. Okay, maybe one day. Anyways. Yeah, that sucked. But hey, let's listen in on my friends as they get their ass kicked in D&D.
She is currently targeting Tom. She utters a word of power.
Bro.
Kong Ling is now stunned.
Very cool. They all survived, by the way. I didn't think it was important for me to bring up the promiscuous villager who from time to time winds up sleeping in my house. But at some point, they also brought a child into the house, and I really don't know how to feel about that. It's not mine, thank God. I'm guessing it's theirs. I don't know. I was considering killing it. Just a thought. Comment down below if I should smite the child or not. Just let me know. There was a time historically back in history where hardcore Minecraft used to be all about trying to survive for as long as possible without dying. But it's 2024, and at this point, that's kind of just some shit. Now it's about seeing who can build the dopest structures and flex the hardest on some hoes. I'm talking farms, animal pens, portals, enchanting buildings. We're gonna do it all. We might even pick up some b****s along the way. Probably not, but hey, we're gonna make everything that I need in order to go from basic iron armor for babies all the way to a god tier diamond pickaxe and full diamond armor. It's gonna be dope as hell. Let's get into it. The most time-consuming part of today's endeavor will without a doubt be building up the local cow population to a level high enough to sustain 15 bookshelves. Doing the math, that's 3 pieces of leather per bookshelf, so 45 leather total, but not all cows are created equal. Sometimes they're feeling spicy and drop nothing. You cow. So I'm gonna need even more than that. For several days, my priority will be breeding cows. While I'm waiting on their cooldown for sex, I'll go collecting other resources. To my pleasant surprise, it was actually quite easy to get the initial cows that I required. I just ran to the other side of the mountain like Goldilocks or whoever that with the porridge was. From there, I very quickly collected a very loyal band of like 30 sheeps and cows or so. I'm not very good at counting, but one of them was pink, so that was pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. I tried to decorate their pens with a little mound of dirt at the beginning, but that kind of looked like shit, so I removed it and instead just put little watering holes in both. Now I have an infinite source of water close to home, and also they get to go swimming. If they want to. I don't know. Do sheep go swimming? However, if I do need to breed a bunch of cows, then of course I'm going to need a whole lot of wheat to breed them with. So naturally, next door to the pen, I created my first wheat farm. I really don't even know if farm is a fair thing to call this. It's pretty small and quite squarular, which, squarular? Whatever. But it gets the job done. So now we have 3 full-fledged structures standing proudly in the sun, much like I do when I'm tanning my voluptuous cheeks at the beach. I thought the best way to connect all the builds was just to continue the natural dirt path that was already running throughout the village. It looks pretty good to me, all things considered, and it's definitely cheap, so Mama's not complaining. In the future, I might go ahead and replace it with something different like stone, but for now it works. I tend to build really symmetrically, but I am trying my hardest to break that pattern since I think it looks better and more natural when it's asymmetrical. Thankfully, I've left some space on either side of the path so that down the line, if I do decide to change it, we'll have some freedom to experiment with. I was, in fact, so absorbed by my dirt pathing work that I stayed up through the night for the first time in this world. A skeleton spawned on the roof, which served as a good reminder that I do need to place torches up there. This should prevent spawning, but even if it doesn't, I'll take the free XP. For the next few days, I was basically indistinguishable from a f***ing groundhog. I was mining the entire time, and let me tell you, it's gonna be a long winter. Again, my priority is just breeding the cows so that I can get level 30 enchantments as soon as possible. Mining is just good to fill the space in between for the time being. Having good enchantments doesn't really do me a shitload of good if I don't have an anvil to combine them with, or diamond things to even put them on in the first place. I did also create 2 different strip mines, one at iron height and one at diamond height, because I'm just an efficient motherfucker. I'm definitely pretty damn tired of going up and down this massive ladder, but I never got around to replacing it. Maybe next video. Lo and behold, much like a wise man coming to gift baby Jesus a bunch of dog shit, a wandering trader showed up on day 24. He had a bunch of dog shit, except for one of his gifts, which I did actually need. A spruce sapling. I definitely could have just ran a few hundred blocks away and found spruce, but I'm afflicted with the curse of laziness, and this thing was like 3 emeralds. Why not? Naturally, I then murdered him in cold blood after our deal was done and stole his llamas. Not sure what I'm gonna do with llamas, but now they're mine. Speaking of, is there some way to breed them? I have no idea, but if you know, and there is a way to breed them, please comment down below. And then I will. Unless it's hard, then I won't, but, you know, one step at a time. Something about that trader inspired me to plant some more trees. I have a vision of the dirt path running freely underneath large, overgrown trees, blocking out the sun overhead. My thinking was if I place a sapling and then put some blocks next to it, the tree will be forced to grow into mega size, as I call it. The hope was that it would automatically look more or less like what I have in mind, but the reality is, it did not. I'm picturing something like a well-groomed garden with leaves overhead, making the path feel very tranquil. But it's looking like I'm gonna have to make some significant future alterations to the trees in order to accomplish that. As I continued my cycle of breeding, planting, and mining, I came across a lucky find deep underground. A gaggle of glow squids kept spawning in some very, very shallow water and suffocating themselves to death. While I'm certainly sympathetic to their cause, I was glad to see a free source of their internal organs. They drop glow sacks, which can be used to turn signs into, like, brighter signs, so that's kind of valuable. I'm not sure if suffocating to death or getting split in half by an axe is a worse way to go, but thankfully these squids didn't really need to ponder that for very long. I cut them all in half with an axe. So anyways, after about 7 days of repeating that cycle of resource collection, I finally had enough cows to actually reach level 30 enchantments. Giddy with excitement, I prepared my tender little heart to receive fortune. My philosophy for this world is to try and build structures properly the first time, every time I need one. This is different from my usual philosophy of throwing shit into the corner awkwardly. So if I wanted an enchanting area, I'd like to try and build something for that the first time, you know, instead of throwing it awkwardly in the corner. So what that means is my tender little heart will have to wait a little bit longer. Looking around at my existing structures, there wasn't an obvious candidate for where to put the enchanting building. Before I got too caught up worrying about it, however, I happily said, "F it, I'll put it across from the cow pen. Why not?" I love listening to a chorus of moos while I roll for enchantments. My goal with this village is for everything to more or less match the same style. There might be some slight alterations, like between oak and spruce wood depending on the building, but in general I'm shooting for a very natural, open vibe. So think leaves, wood, maximum levels of coziness, and a lot of natural gas. For that reason, the block palette I landed on for the enchanting building is a very tasteful combination of spruce, wool, deep slate, andesite, and oak leaves. I don't really want to put any doors or windows on this building just because of the way that I'm feeling, so instead I'm going to use leaves for windows and a 2-block high void for the door. Now, if you know anything about enchanting tables, you know that they have a huge body odor problem. No, they don't. They're inanimate objects. That was a test. If you believed me, it means 1, you don't know anything about enchanting tables, and it also means you're just a little bit f***ing stupid. What I was actually going to say is that enchanting tables are pretty small, so the building will be the same way. Just enough room to fit the essentials like an anvil and a grindstone. In the end, this is the design that I went with. As you can see, it is quite square and uses a lot of leaves, which I like. Looking at it now, I might go back and give it a bit more of an overgrown vibe with some vines and extra grass, but you know, we'll see. For the roof, I didn't really reinvent the wheel or anything, just some good old spruce stairs in a pyramid fashion. Domes scare me because they involve math on a level that's deeper than counting, which is pretty much where I draw the line. I didn't spend a ton of time worrying about lighting for the time being, since I'm just going to replace the torches with glowstone or something similar in due time. But it was really f***ing dark, so I threw up a few random torches. And that's the enchanting building as it stands now. One more thing off the list. Now I just needed to roll for a good fortune enchantment, and we are well on our way. At one point, I accidentally grew a 2x2 spruce tree that looked down on me disapprovingly from above in the same way I wish a giant goth girl would. My initial reaction was a negative one because big things are frightening, except for tall goth girls. But in the end, it was actually a positive thing. These trees are super easy to cut down, and they give you more wood than, you guessed it, a really tall goth girl. After that, I quickly threw together an anvil, as you do, which I would place in the enchanting building. I find it's just way easier to roll for good enchantments when you have all the tools right there with you. Thankfully, all the mining I was doing earlier while waiting for cowsex gave me plenty of iron to do this. Then I played a little enchantment roulette until I eventually got a fortune 3 roll. I was too poor to actually take the enchantment at the moment, so I decided to come back and pop it once I was level 30 again. again. That being said, I had already been doing a ton of grinding recently, and frankly, I wanted a bit of a break, meaning I wanted to start working on my first large build in this world. My long-term vision for this village is essentially the world's nicest prison camp. I want my villagers to forget that they're hostages because they're just so safe and comfortable inside my massive black deep slate walls. The ideal prisoner should work 24 hours a day. However, I'm not a monster. I recognize that under the circumstances, working through the night would endanger the lives of my prisoners, and therefore endanger my profits. So I'm gonna make a giant wall around the entire camp and light up the entire interior. This will prevent any monster danger and allow the prisoners to focus even more on their incredibly fulfilling and self-actualizing labor. That's the big vision for the village. But for this episode, it really just means I started putting up a large wall. It's ugly at the moment, but it won't always be, trust me. There's also an even bigger vision for this world as a whole, but I think I'll hold off on telling you about that for the time being. I have discussed it in some of my live streams, however. That's where I tell all of my secrets. So be sure to follow me on twitch.tv/ImFarley if you want to check that out sometime. After screwing around with the wall for a few days, it was time for me to refocus my efforts on the task at hand. The goal of this episode is to get all the necessary tools and protections so that I can start making some serious builds. I needed a few more XP levels, and for whatever reason, Nether quartz is one of the best sources of it in the game. Why is that the case? I have never understood. Reluctantly, it was time to go to the Nether. But, considering my philosophy for this world, I couldn't just build some looking portal in the middle of your mother's house. It needed to be its own structure. I ended up putting it across from the wheat farm, close enough to be convenient, but far away enough that the portal sound isn't constantly penetrating my dreams, making me think about hell, and slowly but surely driving me to insanity, and also driving me to the bathroom as it wakes me up for the 4th time in one night. The core design is pretty simple, it's just a bunch of stairs, but as for fleshing it out, I once again went with that natural, open, foresty looking feel that I've been aiming for. One quick trip into the Nether later, and I was level 30. Happy to report that only one hoglin tried to eat my ass while I was in there, but I'm quick with it, so he didn't get shot, little bastard. Even better news than that, though, I got super lucky with the enchantment. It popped out as a Fortune 3, Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 4 pickaxe. From there, I was quickly able to combine my other Efficiency 4 pickaxe with it, and I now have a maxed out Fortune pickaxe. It's a very fun time to be alive. Luckily for me, I'm also a bit of a stable genius. While mining earlier, anytime I found diamond, I did not actually collect it. Instead, I marked its location on my GPS for later, and that's how I immediately turned 15 diamonds into about 39. Let me tell you, I've had sex before, and it felt pretty good, but 39 diamonds in 2 minutes? I don't know, man. There's a comparison to be made. Finally, to finish out this video on the biggest secret for surviving hardcore Minecraft, I went ahead and made the secret. It is, in fact, literally just diamond armor. I also threw some little enchantments on it, since why not? It's like 1 level each. I'm gonna roll for god enchantments slowly but surely. Definitely won't be as high priority as the fortune pick was. Next priority for enchantments will probably be looting and then some kind of god roll for a bow. Anyways, I jumped back up onto the mountain near the prison camp and hit up all the coal veins I could find. That took like 5 minutes, and before I knew it, I had 6 stacks of coal. So we're covered there for a while as well. By day 43, this is what the loot chest is looking like. Mighty fine, if I might say so myself. That was supposed to be a cowboy? I don't know. You might be asking yourself, how did a lowly cow farmer find themselves flying through the air at high speeds battling the Ender Dragon? Well, allow me to explain. It all started with a goal, slaying the Ender Dragon. That was at least my primary goal. But primary goals are typically made up of a series of much smaller goals. In this case, the first smaller goal was, get a Looting 3 sword. It's kind of useful for everything. I originally planned to wait on this one, but upon further consideration, it quickly became apparent that I would in fact need it for everything that I wanted to do next. As you might have seen in the intro, this episode is all about killing dragons. One in particular, and I am in fact the motherfucking Dragonborn. I've never actually played Skyrim, so I don't know if that joke worked or not, but I'm just gonna move on before you can think about it. As it turned out, I didn't actually have Looting 3 as an enchantment on my table at the moment, which meant it was time for one of my favorite things. Gambling, baby! Let's go to casino! I needed to re-roll this enchanting table a bunch of times until it showed what I actually wanted. Looting 3. However, rolling enchants is not for broke boys or the weak of spirit. I needed levels. And the best place for levels? Weirdly, the Nether. I had to explore it anyway, so 2 stones, 1 bird, or whatever the f is. Upon entering the Nether, I quickly encountered my mortal enemies, hoglins. goblins. These little f***ers have ended several hardcore worlds for me. They definitely belong on my stinker list. I murdered them. You do not want to be on my stinker list, trust me. Giant dino skeleton give free bone block for make plant go Bert. A scary encounter with a roaming herd of gas trying to reenact a casting couch situation with me inspired a new build. I call it cobblestone placed randomly around the portal. It's very fancy compared to a dumpster. So there I was, levels in hand, cheese puffs in stomach, ready to get my looting sword. Psych, get on. I don't have any lapis. Upon that realization, I went ahead and did some more mining. I need more deep slate for the wall regardless, so I mean, it's fine. As a nice little bonus from the IRS following tax season, Fortune 3 allowed me to easily collect 40 diamonds and also a couple stacks of lapis, and it only took like, I don't know, a night or so, approximately. Hey, you remember the really tall ladder that I said I was tired of climbing up and would replace next episode? Yeah, so that was a fucking lie. I hate this thing, but I also hate making water elevators. It's very annoying. I don't know, maybe next episode. Leave me alone. So now I had lapis, and I had enough levels to start rolling, gambling for the looting 3 enchantment. And you know what? Eventually, I did hit big, baby. We're going all the fucking way, but it took like 15 levels. So, you know, back to the Nether, more XP grinding. Let's go. The Nether spawn was a little rough to navigate around since it was mostly just lava everywhere. But being the smart boy that I am, I knew making a tunnel at a higher elevation would lead me somewhere interesting given enough time. That's my strategy for life. Just start digging holes and see where you end up. Thankfully, it didn't take too much time at all. Pretty quickly after starting, I broke a block and was greeted with the blue hue of a warped forest biome. These biomes are nice both for Enderman spawns, which are important later, and for glow shrooms, which look nice always. Finding this opening was an even better surprise than it might seem at first glance. While my main task right now was hitting level 30 from mining quartz, I was also searching for a nether fortress. An opening like this usually means one is nearby. Allegedly. But don't quote me on that, because I just made it up. I ran into a really convenient glowstone deposit, so I collected it, although I haven't had a use for it so far. Speaking of light sources, I was using torches like jelly beans to drop on the ground behind me, reminding me which way I had come from. By now I was running low on torches, so after a quick run home to resupply my beans, I exited the other end of the warped forest. I'm thinking my hypothesis about openings meaning fortresses is correct, since I immediately found an outcropping with, lo and behold, a very well-placed nether fortress. Across from the opening was a basalt deltas biome. This is a pretty dog biome that's a pain to navigate, but it does have magma cubes, which drop magma creams. Typically an underutilized item, but it happens to be the required ingredient for making fire resistance potions. I've died to nether lava many times before, so I'm definitely going to be making some of those bad boys in the future. Incidentally, this was apparently the last nether biome I hadn't explored, so I mean, like, that's cool, I guess. It plays such a cool sound effect for that, but I did it on accident, so it's, okay, you know what. A little frolicking later, and I found myself atop the aforementioned fortress. I killed some blazes just for, you know, shits and giggles, but I didn't have looting yet, so it didn't make much sense for me to continue farming them. Also, I was almost level 30, so I just went home. Here's the loot that I've hauled for my nether adventures so far. Shaking with anticipation, I ran to the enchanting building and threw on my looting 3. Got a little unlucky with the bonus enchantment, just being Smite 4, but I suppose it could have been nothing, so I mean, you can't really complain. Also, Smite 2 is coming out pretty soon. That's a video game, you know, so... There's a joke there somewhere. I don't know. I can't find it. Smite 4 on my sword. Cool. Definitely going to replace that enchantment with sharpness one day, eventually. Probably sometime after I put a water elevator in the mine to replace the ladder. So never. Now that I had a couple different tools with strong enchantments, I thought going for a mending book might be a good idea. To my pleasant surprise, I didn't really have to reset the villager too many times. And I got a relatively cheap one. So now I have mending books for 26 emeralds. Not too bad. I now felt more prepared than ever to start hunting some more serious prey. For example, a fucking dragon. But a feeling of preparedness means very little when confronted with the reality of being prepared. That might sound smart depending on who you are. Regardless, what I mean to say is I also wanted to have potions before I put on my big boy pants and went adventuring in the end dimension. Potions! Gotta have them. Put that on a t-shirt because that's my next goal. To that end, it was around this time that I stopped sleeping. I need phantoms to spawn so that I can kill them for phantom membrane, which like magma cream is a required ingredient for a potion. A slow falling potion. I don't know why, but the phantoms in this world are apparently massive babies that are afraid to try and kill me. I had to stay awake for a very long time. I spent that time lighting up the village, killing the shit out of some monsters, and other such fun shenanigans. Well, that was taking an eternity and a half, which made me bored. To stop being bored, I went back to the nether. I wanted some ender pearls, both for personal uses and because they're good to have, you know, just like in general. I like the pearls. What about it? Little Minecraft life hack for you. If you build blocks right over your head and then piss on an enderman cereal, metaphorically, they can't hit you, but you can hit them really good and hard. They will die. Since I was already in the nether anyways, I decided to go farm some blazes as well. On the way, I found a herd of wither skeletons just chilling with the boys in a hole and whatnot, so I f***ing murdered them. Didn't get any skulls, unfortunately, but there's always next time. A few minutes of extinguishing flying flames netted me around 15 blaze rods, which on the scale of shabby is not too. My nether plundering also led me to a small patch of nether wars, which I gobbled up like a really big bird eating another really big but slightly smaller bird. I'm the big bird. But as far as plundering, that was mostly all that there was to be plundered in that particular plunder hole. Here's another update on the old nether chest, and here's an update on the old goodies chest. Ooh. possible. Given my rule in this world of not half-assing builds when I need something, I would need to build a structure for potion making. Side note, my rule about building things correctly the first time does not currently apply to the Nether, given that I will not feel safe being in the Nether long term until I have a healthy supply of fire resistance potions. Just before you motherfuckers come at me in the comments. But anyways, back to the matter at hand. Potions! For enchantments, I had built a little cottage thing, which is fine and cool, but for potions, I wanted to feel like a certified badass mother lover, which I am, by the way. We all know there's nothing more badass than a very large tower, so you can see where this is going. It's tower time. In a couple hours, there will also be shower time, but that's a more personal activity, so I'm not going to talk about it here. I started laying the groundwork for the tower, trying to think of something unique and satisfying to look at, while also being very careful to not accidentally recreate any symbols from the Second World War. I asked my friend about it, and apparently I'm good to go. He knows about this stuff. Brad, if you were wrong, I'm coming for you. You really can't be too careful with this type of thing. Those bastards had symbols for f***ing everything. It's ridiculous. Regarding block palette, it's going to be very similar to the other builds I'm rocking in this villager camp so far. The main block that's different is the shroom light. I really like how these look, and honestly, I'm probably going to end up adding them into the old builds at some point as well. At risk of once again repeating the same philosophy I've said for all of the other structures, I wanted an open, natural feel. Like taking a whiz out in the forest. It's freeing. I also went with a circular design because despite popular belief, circles are pretty neat. It's domes that I have a problem with. They're different. Anyways, that's pretty much the story of how I met your mother. How I made the potion tower. It's pretty cool. I think I'm happy with it, for now at least. I also built a little garden thing with a couple of trees beside the tower. This little part of town is beginning to really take shape now, so I thought it was a good time to add a little decoration to the road and whatnot, you know. While I was building the tower, I also made sure to not sleep at all. Slow falling potions are required for me to fight the Ender Dragon because I have the reaction speed of a tortoise, and bucket clutching is terrifying. Slow falling potions only drop from phantoms, which incidentally only spawn after 3 days of staying awake. Or at least that's how they're supposed to work. I don't feel like doing the math, but I definitely stayed awake for way longer than 3 days trying to get these little to spawn. It was very annoying, but it did at least allow me to farm some random mob drops during the night, so I guess that's something. On day 53, I was feeling just a little bit silly, like a silly little fella. I wasn't actually ready to go into the end yet, but I was curious where the portal was. So after crafting some Eyes of Ender, I went on a little adventuring expedition, we'll call it. It was, of course, at dawn, right after I set out, that at long last, the little blue bastards decided to make an appearance. It's about damn time. Anyways, Phantom Membrane secured. I also went and found a horse for my adventure. Let's call him Jimbo. Me and Jimbo continued venturing out. He was super cool. I wouldn't get too attached to Jimbo. He will not be making another appearance. I had now officially cleared all minor goals required in order to achieve my primary goal. I was ready to go train my dragon, but instead of training it, I was going to put a sword in it, and then swirl the sword around a bunch of times like a blender and whatnot. I collected some water from around the beats and filled a bunch of bottles. I don't always make potions, but when I do it in bulk. Bigger is always better, except in the case of colonoscopies, and a few other things. But from there, I set out again, this time with every intention of actually entering the end. You could have called me Frodo Baggins, because I was on an adventure, and frankly, I was ready to start teabagging a dead dragon. Holy shit, bars. Through a few eyes, followed the path, through some more eyes. You know how it goes. Finally, I came upon the stronghold. I ran around in circles inside of it for a while, as you do, until I eventually found the portal room. I'd like to say that I made a big deal of it, and that it was emotional and stuff, but honestly, it wasn't. I've done this so many times, man. Also, I'd been playing for several hours straight at this point, and I just wanted to go to bed. I entered the end and was greeted with an age-old sight. Big old of a dragon flying around like an asshole. One cobblestone tower and several arrow shots later, I had taken down all of the healing towers. As usual, I participated in just a few shenanigans, aka getting thrown around by the dragon's wings, but to no one's surprise, I did eventually prevail. I'm a Minecrafter. Of course I f***ing killed a literal f***ing shit out of some head ass dragon when that little dip tries to talk shit. Side note, I now have 68 levels, and honestly, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them. But I guess we'll see. I was already here, and frankly, I didn't feel like having to run all the way back to get an elytra. So I said, screw it. 2 adventures for the price of 1. I threw a pearl into the portal thing. I don't know what they're called. Started looking for a city. Honestly, much like the Nether, I got pretty lucky with this seed. I found a city almost immediately. Did some plundering, got some shulker boxes, some really thin butt plugs, and other stuff. And eventually climbed the ship to retrieve my first elytra. And with the newfound ability to fly, or, fall with style, I returned home. Oh, by the way, I did also collect some dragon breath. I don't remember what you're even supposed to do with it, but I have it. It's mine, it's purple, yoink. So now I could fly and talk and hit blocks and stuff, but the flying part would be limited by the elytra's durability. Unless, of course, I put unbreaking and mending on it. So I'm gonna do that. These villagers be out here needing emeralds and shit, so I did some chores like harvesting trees and mining so that I could be a little bit less poor just for a bit. Then I immediately went back to being poor all over again when I traded for both a mending book and an unbreaking book. I actually already had the unbreaking book, but whatever. That pretty much solved the flight problem though, other than for fireworks, which I do still need to make a creeper farm for. At some point, not right now, hell no. I also colored my shulker boxes because that's what a hot like me does. That was the first goal done. It was a pretty chill one. Icy cold like a refrigerator, the inside of a refrigerator. The next goal, however, is not chill at all. It's actually the biggest goal I've had in this world so far. For that reason, I wasn't actually able to finish it yet, but I'll show you what I mean. I want the outer wall to be massive and very cool looking, like me. There's obviously a lot involved with that, but step one is to normalize the wall height, or at least mostly normalize it to where they're kind of the same height all the way around. Before I started this, there were some parts of the wall that were like 20 blocks higher than other parts, so that's no bueno. Once I finished evening out the wall's height, like a mother pulling her child's hair as hard as possible to force his legs to grow longer, she hates short people, I wanted to spend some time actually designing the damn thing. In general, I wanted a bit of a castle feel, since I'm a f***ing king, allegedly, so I experimented with these different little pointy thingies at the top. I like them. I'm pretty sure they're called buttresses in real life, but if so, that's just really stupid, and I'm not gonna call them that. They're pointy thingies. Getting the design right involved seeing it from many angles, including the sky. Well, I used all of my huge supply of gunpowder to make a whopping 18 fireworks. I had like 3 gunpowder. This gunpowder would be used to explore the world in search of bamboo. Bamboo is the item needed to craft scaffolding. And scaffolding, oh, well that would let me view the wall from different heights, and also scale it quite quickly. Quite quickly, QQ, nice. Alliteration. Thankfully, I didn't need to burn through very much gunpowder. As it turns out, there's a jungle like 100 blocks from my village, so that was pretty f***ing lit. Not as lit as the forest fire that I'm gonna start in like 30 days, but still pretty lit. Fire. Side note, it was night on the fly back home, and the village reminded me of Christmas time. Just call me Horton because I'm an elephant that heard a who. That joke f***ing sucked. Anyways, I planted the bamboo. It's crazy to me that if you lay on top of one of these bad boys, they'll just grow straight through your body. From there, I went back to messing with the wall design some more, as I tend to do. So while you look at that, I figure I should mention that I was streaming for a lot of this and decided to add text to the bottom right of the screen that says active quest. This was so people would know what was going on when they first joined. However, I mostly forgot about it entirely and rarely updated it. So, don't think about it too much, please. Small plug, follow me on twitch.tv/ImFarley if you want to join these live streams. Also here on the channel, I stream on the YouTube channel as well. I mean, they're just everywhere, you know, come hang out, man. But one can really only spend so many creative juices at a time. So once I got a little bored of working on El Wall de Grande, I decided to spend my mini XP levels on some actually decent armor enchantments. It's not perfect, but I did get pretty good stuff. Basically a full protection 3 set with some random other little goodies, and mostly has Unbreaking 3 on it as well. I did not, however, have the emeralds for 4 mending books, so for now, the armor's just gonna sit on this armor stand. Since I was feeling sexy, free, and in the mood for enchanting, I also took the liberty of getting a silk touch pickaxe to accompany my fortune one. Now I can get stone and other much easier. I was looking through the footage for this part and noticed that at some point in time I made a little hole and started twerking. So I thought I'd include that too. I don't know what the f I was doing. There's probably a reason at the time, but we're moving on. Pretty quickly I learned that chiseled stone bricks looked like complete ass as the wall centerpiece, so that blocks out. However, this made me realize that I think shroom lights would look good on the wall. Given that I didn't have very many, I took this as a sign to go collect some. And this time I didn't go alone. I brought my diamond hoe. She's super hot. And she mines shroom lights like you wouldn't believe. She also has a peanut allergy. Ooh. After all that, I mostly had the wall design figured out. By this point, I was well aware that I would need 1 to 3 metric tons of deep slate in order to complete the wall, and that's kind of a load of mining. It was time to take a break from Operation El Wall de Grande and spend some time killing the Wither. That would let me build a beacon, which in turn would give me haste, and in turn of that turn, allow me to mine deep slate a lot faster. It's not that much faster, but it still counts. So let's kill a Wither. Unfortunately, when I say let's kill a Wither, what I actually mean is let's go kill a ton of Wither skeletons and pray they drop their skull. How do they not drop their skull to begin with? Like, where is it going? My search for Wither skulls began on day 70. I was running all around the Nether Fortress like Lightning McQueen doing laps in a race. Ka-chow! But luck wasn't exactly on my side. I spent 2 days running around looking for skeletons, but unfortunately in that time I had only managed to get 1 skull to drop.
Oh yeah, dude. It's me, the Wither skeleton.
Anyways, that's 2 less than I need. Since I was streaming, I eventually decided, you know, this is pretty boring content. And so I went back to mining deep slate for a bit, since that's obviously way more interesting. It's not. So be chill. Oh my god. God damn it. The next IRL day, I got back to hunting skulls, but this time I wasn't streaming, so I didn't need to worry about it being interesting or not. I expanded the fortress platforms in the hope of getting more spawns. I don't know if this worked or not, but fast forward a bit, and finally on day 75, I got the 3rd and final Wither skull to drop. So that's give or take like 5 days to get all 3. Very frustrating, even with looting 3, but it's done now, so you know what? The time for battle came on day 76. I put on my good armor, loaded up my hotbar with goodies, and headed down to the mines. I had my potions all ready to go, milk, a whole bunch of stuff. Like, this was gonna be be the chosen battle. I'm not ashamed to say that I'd practiced killing withers like 4 separate times before this in creative mode. I found this to be the most reliable way to safely kill them. I just made a really long straight tunnel at deep slate level, spawned the wither at the end, and slowly kited it backwards while I sliced away at it with my little diamond poker sword. This fight could have gone a few different ways, but I absolutely did not expect it to go like this.
Bruh.
Here we go. Let's go crazy. Whew. All right, focus time. No chatter from me. All right. Okay, so in my practice worlds, I used a diamond sword with no enchantments on it. And I also didn't use strength. So it took like 10 times longer than that took to do. Oh my god, he died immediately. Is he affected by smite? Is that what happened there? Pretty quickly after this, I discovered that the Smite enchantment does indeed affect withers. I had pretty much never used this enchantment before, so I was completely unaware of this fact. In my practice fights with the wither, it took significantly longer than the actual fight took, and I have Smite 4 to thank for that. Anyways, I'm not here to complain about something being easier than I expected, but now we have everything that we need for a beacon. This was actually my very first time building a beacon in survival. Some might say I was a beacon virgin, a beacurgin, a beacon virgin, I don't know, one of those. I threw some iron into blocks to power up the beacon from below. After that, I found a little area slightly outside of El Wall de Grande, but only slightly. I needed the beacon to have a straight shot view to the surface in order for it to function, but I also wanted to reuse the same ladder for my strip mine to get up and down. So, like a top tier mathematician that knows both addition and subtraction, I dug up my little quarry hole. With that, I had my deep slate quarry up and running, or at least ready to go. It's just a hole, but I mine faster inside of it, so I'm calling it a quarry. I don't know, whatever. What really makes a hole into a quarry? Where's that cutoff point? Someone tell me. Somebody in the stream asked me to show a picture of my cat, so I did. Here he is. His name is Dumpy. I was once asked on an official forum what type of cat he is, so I wrote down one of the random options I was given since I have no clue. He was a stray from the streets, a gangster. But now he's just fat and bites me whenever I forget to feed him. Now began a period of running down to the mine, gathering deep slate, running back to the surface, and working on the wall. I did this for a few different days. It was mostly quite productive as soon as I figured out how the 45-degree angles work so that I could actually do the turns. I think the wall is starting to look quite nice, but it definitely has a way to go still. I think, once again, low confidence that this might be the correct vibe. 1, 2, 3. If you're a little fella that was primed and ready to yell at your monitor telling me to put torches inside the wall to prevent mob spawning, well, don't you even worry, little guy. I'm already doing that. Mobs aren't allowed to spawn inside this wall any more than I'm allowed to pee on a random person's private property. I still do. Sometimes. Not often. Big hole? Big hole. It was around this time that I officially decided there was no chance in hell that I was going to be able to finish the entire wall by the end of 100 days. Which is fine, but like, pretty anticlimactic for the video. Not exactly bussin'. That in mind, I decided to start a different project. One that I actually could fit within the timeline. A more permanent home for my villagers to live in. My take on a training hall. This could have been a pretty simple project, all things considered, but since I'm a big ol' stinker with stinker-like ideas, I decided to make it more complicated. I started by clearing out a corner of the village and mostly flattening it out. It took me a bit of effort since there was a large amount of obnoxious little blocks and random shit needed to be exterminated. But I'm the most legendary exterminator to ever not actually be an exterminator, so for me, it wasn't that much of a problem. After that, I lit everything up pretty uniformly using shroom lights. I really like shroom lights. That should definitely be clear by now. Once I had a good bit of light permeating the surrounding area, I started throwing up the walls faster than a cat can throw up when smelling onions. Look, I've walked through my design philosophy for this village like 25 times by now. We all get it. Natural, deep slate, open. It's supposed to feel like you're in the forest. Okay, cool. I'm gonna lock villagers inside of these little cubes for the rest of their lives. Before long, I had the first floor pretty much figured out and could start transporting the new occupants to their boxes. You know, outside of the fact that villagers will never leave their rooms again, the rooms really aren't that bad. It's like a Norwegian prison or something. They get a bed, a chest, a workstation. They even get a nice view. Just don't rub against the wall because they are made out of leaves. Unless you're into that. I don't know. Tree Whisperer, the f***ing Lorax. Oh, also a wandering trader spawned out of nowhere and I was feeling a bit quirky, so I went ahead and locked him up too. I don't think there's really any benefit for me having done this, so I'll probably execute him before too long. Sorry, buddy. I'll keep your alpacas though. At long last, we enter the final chapter of this video. Day 90 through 100. From this point, I really just had a few random tasks to work on. 10 days isn't long enough for a very specific planned out project, so I did a few different ones all at the same time.
Hey man, are you gonna eat all your fruit snacks, or can I have some? Please, I really want some. I just want a little bit. Just a little fruit snacks. Maybe just a taste. Can I have just a taste, please? Come on, man. I'll trade you my peanut butter jelly sandwich. For fruit snacks. Please.
I wanted to get mending on all of my armor pieces, I wanted to keep working on the trading hall, and eventually, I wanted to start a forest fire. So that's pretty much what I did. Crazy. I cut down trees, traded them for emeralds. I placed some blocks and decorated the outside of the hall. At one point, a gang of pillagers showed up, but I must admit that I briefly considered if the content would be good if I intentionally summoned a raid on my village and then pretended it happened on accident. While I think that may have been kind of lit, I'm not about to risk this video ending in my death at this point. Next video, maybe, but not this one. Mama's gonna publish this thing eventually, goddammit. Fishing, that happened briefly because a cat spawned, but it was taking forever to catch anything, so you know how that ended already. Behold, a view of the village as it stands today, from the hill that overlooks it. We've come a long way from where it began. The last thing I built was this little alley with an overpass thingy between my house and the trading hall. Doesn't really serve any purpose, not even really sure what it is. I just thought about Cyberpunk and how that was kind of cool, and you know, I said, what if I had one of my own? So now I do. So there it is, 100 days, 99 days, no totem, hardcore. We did it, done it. I opened my inventory. It's done. Built some, got some stuff. Here it is. This is what it looks like. It's a big wall surrounding a village. Well, it was once a village. Now it's more of a kingdom, if I may say so myself, because I'm being built different. This is the grand vision for the wall. It'll be like this all the way around eventually one day. I wanted to end the 100 days with the whole wall being done, but that quickly was turning into a huge task that I did not have time for. So we had to settle, but that's okay. I will finish the wall at a later date. So yeah, you come in and you know, it's there's stuff and things on both sides, got a little grass. Obviously some open space here. Haven't figured out what this will be, but eventually it'll be something, you know. That's an old house, I will knock that down. That shit. Okay, we got our farms here, a little wheat farm, cow farm. There's some sheep there, you know, I don't really farm them, but they are available. This guy in particular. We got our portal. You know, I don't really know how to... I've never been one to decorate a nether portal, but I tried, and I think it looks okay. It's pretty neat. Kind of destroyed almost, but or overgrown, I guess, might be more fair. Yeah, we got our trees on the pathway, and then this is the OG house, the first thing I built. It mostly matches the rest of the style of the whole village area, but it's a little bit out of date. You can change it up a little bit. This guy lives with me. I didn't name him because he doesn't deserve one. He's an armor smith, toolsmith, I mean. Cough. And we sleep on the same bed. It's nothing weird. It's just how it works out. It's fine. There's a bell. He freaks out whenever I ring it. And then as far as the actual house, I have a little stone hoe above the door because, you know, we keep it classy. Big old skeleton dude in a soup, or I don't really know what this is a painting of, to be honest with you, but he's doing something. And then the chest, of course, you know, all the typical little table and chairs for RP. This is the enchanting building. It's where I do all of my enchanting and also my anviling with my enchanted stuff. Super cool, very small and tight, like my ad. This is like a little garden thingy. I have a couple gardens because I don't know what else to put there. It's really just a couple of trees and some grass, but you know, the definition of garden is pretty wide open. This is the tallest structure, or maybe second tallest now. It's the potion building. It's where I do all my potion brewing and shit. This is the input chest, aka all the materials. This is the output, aka all the potions whenever they're done. I have a few random ones here, but you know, I make them as I need them for the most part, so not a whole lot going on. Used a lot of this for the dragon fight, but not much since then. Moving on, we have, well, I guess I'll start with this. This is the most recent building, which still needs a lot of work to do, but it's basically the villager barracks, I guess we'll call it. And yeah, you go in, and I made little rooms for all the villagers. Typical villager trading hall is just like it's a really crappy prison cell, you know? Which I'm all for villager imprisonment, but I figure why not give them a little bit of comfort, you know? There's like leaves, and they have beds and shit, so, you know, could be worse. They're doing okay. But I made this to be pretty tileable. It can just go up and up and up forever vertically. I only made 2 floors. I have not filled out the second floor yet because I just don't really need to. I'll have to make a villager breeder before I can really get enough to fill all these rooms. But as far as main structures, that's pretty much it. And then there's also this area. I don't know. I just made this. I don't know if I like it or not. It's supposed to be like a little overhang thingy. I just think overhangs are cool. Kind of neat. This is random. Like that. And then another little garden area, which has like the most neutered looking little birch tree the world's ever seen. It's, you know, there it is. It has a little circle path around it. Pretty cool. And I guess that's really all that I've built. And you know, it makes me sad that it's taken so long to build all this and it took like 2 minutes to go through it all. But that's life, you know? Okay. Oh, what the hell? I guess I have a cave as well. So that's news to me. But as the sun begins to set here, I figure a good way to send off the first 100 days of more to come, ideally. If it gets views. Make sure to like and subscribe and share, please. I figured a good way to send it off would be with a flint and steel. So we're gonna f***ing do a forest fire, okay? We're gonna do a big ol' forest fire with all the shit that a forest fire needs, which is mostly just a forest and a fire. So I'll be providing the fire. And I figured this place looks pretty luscious, like my locks. So we're gonna burn it down as the sun sets and night begins to fall. This bitch is gonna burn. Uh-oh. It is a bad day to be a bee in this forest. Sorry, guys. She's burning.
Dude, my asshole after I eat a gallon of Takis be like... Dude, my throat after I eat spicy curry. Dude, this is like my ass when I eat ghost pepper hot chicken. Dude, this is like my face whenever I rub my I'm
doing a thing, man. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, comment down below anything. What's your favorite color? I don't know. I don't really care, but just feed the algorithm. And, you know, subscribe. And if you want to join the Discord, feel free to join the Discord. And